thank you for talking to UNB today. So I know you were doing a residency with Cosmos Gallery at the moment. You were probably the first Irish artist to come to
That's
Cosmos
right,
with the
yeah.
exchange program.
Yeah.
So before we hear how you ended up in this exchange program, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
How you got started with art?
Yeah. Well, I was interested in art from a really early age, and I went to art school. I grew up, even though I'm Irish, I grew up in the Midlands in England at the very beginning. And so I went to art school in Trent Polytechnic in Nottingham to do a portfolio course. And then they wanted to put me into textiles and I wanted to do fine art. I knew straight away I wanted to paint at that time. And then I went to Wimbledon. I studied painting for 3 years and I started to travel. Even when I was still a student there, I did my first trip to India and came back and gave a slideshow about what I had seen and where I had been. And I got the traveling bug at that time and I still have it. So I've been traveling since. I went then to the Slade School of Art and I did printmaking. And from there I went to Florence in Italy.
Oh, wow.
And I got an award called the Gillian Award. And it's for a woman artist to work for a year in an art school called Saatchi in Florence, and I loved that. And I left that to go to Belfast, which was a bit of a contrast.
Yeah, from Florence to Belfast.
Yeah.
Which side of the Belfast did you go?
I was in kind of the almost neutral area, which is in Stranmillis, and
right.
I was at the Arts Council building, which had a print workshop in it, and for 2 years I worked there, and it was just a wonderful residency because all you had to do was your work and you were paid a wage. Can you imagine? Right. Yeah, for 2 years. I didn't realise that life got a lot tougher after that. And then I went to Donegal and set up my own print workshop.
Oh, wow. So like from Belfast to Donegal, that must have been big change in pace.
Yeah, I got interested in the Irish language at that time in Belfast because it was very much, there was a renaissance in the Irish language, which was also part of kind of political movement as well. But I think the main reason I was just interested in the Irish language as a cultural, from a cultural perspective. And so I went to the Donegal Gaeltacht and myself and my husband built an art centre at the foot of Mount Errigal in a really, really remote place. And we ran that for 23 years virtually.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we had studio, we had galleries, and we did residencies. And I was always wishing I could do a residency. I was thinking to myself, wow, this is great. We give all this to these resident artists. They come and live with us. We inform them about the culture. We introduce them to loads of interesting people. And wouldn't it be great one day to do that myself? So I was always working as an artist, but I was only just like keeping things ticking over. And then I had to move to Dublin 10 years ago.
That must have been, oh, all right, okay. Yeah. So it was just, the prices were just going up. So.
Yeah, it was at the time of the recession and our funding was cut completely in Donegal. So it wasn't really a choice. It was like many Irish people, I had to move for economic reasons rather than for pleasure. But at the same time, it was time because I had put so much work and so much of it was really administrative work. I wasn't trained as an arts administrator. I'd done nothing about marketing. You know, I wasn't the right person. I wasn't the right fit for that role that I had kind of slid into.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I'm guessing in art school, they don't really teach you about like how to handle yourself.
I really don't.
Like when you get into the money-making of situations, like the finances, the art industry finance literacy and stuff, they don't sort of teach you
and I
about
wasn't cut out for that kind of thing. I just wanted to make art. And all those years I was working, helping people. We did cross-border programs between the North and the South.
Oh, wow.
And we did professional development because there was no art school in the area, but there were so many skilled artists who had no kind of...
like outlet.
No infrastructure to kind of be able to create. So we helped a lot of people. We took artists to Berlin, to Paris. We started doing international projects with Gaeltacht artists.
Oh, wow. That's but just speaking of Gaeltacht, do you think there was a difference between the Irish they spoke up north and then there was a difference between people who spoke Irish in Donegal, or it was just pretty much the same?
Yeah, Belfast Irish is different to Donegal Irish, it's different to Kerry Irish, and it's different to Connemara. All those different Irishes are different, really different. And my daughters went to school in Kerry at College de Ida, and they have a Kerry Irish, but they can understand all Irish, you know,
Yeah,
because
of
they're
course.
absolutely fluent. Whereas I'm still a kind of clunking along, you know. I'm nothing like at the level that my kids had, but they were all fluent in Irish, and it's really helped them learn other languages as well. Having two languages is
Yeah.
brilliant.
So how did you end up in this?
Well, this thing, I just saw it and I jumped at it. I saw it advertised. I worked for the last 2 years for Visual Artists Ireland, and I did advocacy and advice for artists. So to help artists actually, the thing I said that I wasn't really cut out for, I actually learned a lot about arts administration when I was running my own centre. I had to compete for funding every year. I had to write a lot of funding applications. So when I went to work in VAI, I gave a lot of help to artists and advocacy in terms of what their rights are, what they can achieve to help professionalize their practice and help them develop their careers so that they can write funding applications. And I would give them advice about that.
Yeah, of
So
course.
that became my job for a while, and that's where I saw the ad for this.
But you know, back home, like the councils have all these fundings, and a
Yeah.
lot of people don't actually know about it
No.
because councils don't really advertise it.
Not very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, unless you're in the know, it's very hard to
Yeah.
find. There's grants for a lot of things
Yeah.
that people don't know about.
And
at
they don't
local
know. And
level.
the thing is, you know, sometimes the grants don't always go to the best purposes because of this. So, you know, so to make it more available to more people, you know, it improves the level, it lifts the level, because the best always rises to the top, you know.
Yeah, of
and
course.
It's not all about just people being really, you know, educated and knowing the right people. You know, it's much more about, it should be open to everybody to do, and it is. And I'm really proud of Ireland in that we are leading the way in terms of, like, now we have this basic wage for artists that's coming on.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to change so many people's lives. And it's already had a great impact. They've had a pilot year,
Yeah.
and they figured out it makes more money for the country as well. It's
Yeah,
not
of course.
just,
I mean,
you know,
if the artists are making big
Yeah.
art that's big, that's up in the up and around in the internet, people are interested
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they buy it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're generating revenue,
Yeah.
and it's all local revenue.
Yeah,
You know, not
and it's so important, and it gives people such a great sense of identity and a great connection to each other. And one of the nice things about coming on this is the networking, because I've seen such brilliant art here in Dhaka, and I've realized that these people could and should be in major museums in Europe, and they're not getting the opportunity. And if I can help, I would like to help, because I think it should be seen.
Have you seen much of it?
Yeah, I've seen lots of work. I mean, I've been working mostly in the studio most of the time, but I've been out on one night when I went to all the major galleries in Dhaka, and I saw some really good work. I mean, I was so impressed, and I wasn't expecting that. So I had my own, you know, I had a different idea about what it would be like here. The art scene is really good, and the level of the work is really good. As good as Dublin, anyway, you know.
Yeah, one thing I've seen similarities between Dublin and Dhaka is, like, you know, because all the artists, like, since the recession, it was like a congregation in Dublin from, like,
Yeah.
all the artists from all around the country. But in Dhaka's always been the center. The artists here should have more scope.
Yeah, I did. I saw a really good, now I'm not going to remember her name correctly, Yasmina Nabul, and I've forgotten the final surname, but she is showing textile work in the Bengali Foundation, and I thought that should be in the Museum of Modern Art, honestly, in New York. I thought she was really good, or in our IMA in Dublin. Definitely a really good level, and textile art is very hot, as they say, at the moment, and I just thought her work was really interesting. Yeah, I've seen lots of good work. I saw some beautiful work.
You should come see the artists during Dhaka Art Summit. You know,
Yeah.
all the artists come
Yeah,
around,
I'd love to
that's
see that.
that's that's a really nice experience. But going back to this whole cultural exchange thing, this is the first one, and
Yeah.
you are the first person to come
Yeah,
here.
I'm so lucky.
What do you think you are taking away from this trip, and, like, would you encourage other artists to
I
come
would
through?
definitely encourage other artists. I've never been so well looked after on a residency. I've done loads of residencies. I like residencies per se because they give you a focused time to concentrate on your work, and we're all multitasking. I'm always running 2 or 3 jobs. I work in film, I do teaching, I do this and that. But when I come on a residency, I can focus, and I have a studio, and I have somewhere to stay, and I don't have to worry about what I have to eat even here. I even had somebody cooking for me. That's never happened to me in my life, you know? And I was just so surprised. I had no expectation of any of that. I thought I'd be shown a room, and there's your workshop, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. You know, I didn't expect, I didn't expect to be like every day. And I've had a master printer to work with. I mean, the quality of the workshop, the presses are really professional quality. So that's already, that's what most printmakers are going to be interested in. So that means you can produce work at the highest level. So there are some things that need kind of like a little bit like they need to have a good source of paper that's acid free. At the moment, their papers are not acid free, stuff like that. But that can be sorted, you know.
But obviously, do you think like the more artists that are going to come through this town in Dhaka, all those resources will become available as well, because you know it's the whole market thing. There's going to be a demand.
There'll be, if there's a demand. I mean, making acid free paper isn't difficult. They're already making brilliant paper, so it's just one other thing to make sure that it's acid free. So that's easily done. If they have the will to do it, then they can do that. But the main thing also that I'm really aware of is to bring Bangladeshi art back to Ireland and artists. And I think there's definitely an appetite for that, because Ireland's trying to be more multicultural, and we are leading the way in lots of things like the income for artists. And there are many, many opportunities for artists from other countries, from minorities within our own culture, you know, and I think that there would be a place and a great opportunity now I think now's a really good time for a Bangladeshi artist to come to Ireland.
Your whole take from this trip, and what do you think is the future of this program?
Well, I think the program has great potential, and I think I've already spoken to the director of the graphic studio in Dublin, and I think that we would love to have an artist from Bangladesh come and be a resident. She said that herself. Our only problem is we don't have accommodation sorted, so we'd have to organise that, but it can be organised and funded. You know, it's not impossible. Accommodation is the major problem in Dublin, full stop. You know,
I know, it's impossible to get a room, let alone.
It's so difficult. That's the problem. But you know, the only thing is, I just hope that we would be able to give them the kind of welcome that I got here, because you know, I think that it has been no one could have done more for me. You know, every day somebody asking, you know, well, what do you need today, and how can I help you, kind of thing. It's like, wow. Well, I'm used to being very self-sufficient. I was really blown away with it. You know, it was really, really nice. It's the welcome it's not the facilities, it's not the city or anything like that. It's just the spirit and the hospitality, and the atmosphere, and that's the soul of the place. That's what's important.